Hey everybody, Rich and Amy Manzi here, and welcome to our front porch.
And if you haven't already noticed, last week I was holding a fan, and this week I'm wearing a sweatshirt because we are in North Carolina.
And last week it was 98 degrees and sweltering, and right now it's probably about 68 degrees and comfortable.
And I hear next week it's going to be 89.
So go figure. All right, where we left off last week, I had just gotten our ships covered, and we were heading off to our first date.
Yes, and so I wanted to be in control, and my brother had lent me his car while he was gone for the summer, and I pulled up to Rich's trailer. More about that later. And as we were backing out, I backed into a car trailer, and my brother's bumper, came off. And I was extremely concerned.
Yes, and I, not wanting to ruin the moment or having anything mess this opportunity up, I was like, don't worry about it. I'll fix the bumper later, promise. Let's go have our dinner.
And while that was against my nature, I went ahead and was like, okay, let's go. So we headed off to dinner and just sat there and really started to try to get to know each other.
Yep. Came back and I took the car around there was an adjoining parking lot that had bright lights.
Which actually happened to be my parents' office. My parents owned their own business at the time and had an office and a very large parking lot in the back of it. And I had no idea all summer that parking lot backed right up to Rich's trailer.
Coincidence? You decide.
I think it was God.
So pull the car around, we're under the lights. I'm fixing the bumper. And lo and behold, I start hearing some shouting coming from the trailer.
Yes.
So the girl that I had been dating, if you remember the previous video, she showed up unannounced at my trailer. And just disclaimer, when I had announced to everybody that I was going to Florida, I told this girl that I was dating that we could still hang out while I was there, but once I left, that I didn't think it was beneficial to have a long distance relationship. So the relationship was at this point, in my opinion, less than committed.
But maybe not to the girl. And so as she was screaming from the hill, I was now more like, oh my goodness, now I'm involved in some sort of like
love triangle
here. What is going on? So in just typical, I guess, young 20 style, Rich and I both dropped to the ground.
Hit the deck
on the asphalt and just laid beside the car. I don't know what we were hoping to accomplish,
and she was yelling, I know you're here somewhere. I see the beer and the wine coolers. You don't drink wine coolers, so there has to be a girl here.
And so I had pity on her, and I eventually was like, Rich, really, you need to go talk to her. And so Rich went up, and I stayed by the car. And
I talked to her and officially completely ended that relationship at that moment.
Yes.
So, and then bumper was fixed. We went inside and
we talked all night, literally until 6 a.m. in the morning. And I will never forget one topic that we talked about, which was about just his family. I asked if he had any nieces and nephews, and at the time Rich is very close with his family, and he had a cousin who had her first daughter, Brittany, and I just casually asked how old Brittany was, and for the next 30 minutes Rich had to go through every single detail of trying to figure out how old Brittany was.
I don't like giving false information.
So I will never, ever forget that. But looking back on it, I also realized what a gift it was that Rich spent until 6 a.m. talking to me. Because if you know Rich, talking is not one of his favorite pastimes.
Right. And just quick side note before we get off track is during these hours of talking, I realized that I had ordered a shrimp cocktail for an appetizer at the restaurant that we were at, and I never got it. And if you know me, I don't forget shrimp. So the fact that I forgot about my shrimp should say something about how I was feeling at that time. I was enthralled.
You were enthralled.
I was enthralled. Okay. With Amy.
That's quite a strong word.
Yes.
And so anyway, so the next morning, I am actually still in a relationship and very confused at this point. And Rich is heading off to Colorado for his 2-week exercise. And basically, we just made a decision. He respected that I needed to make some decisions. And he said to me
that I'm going to go off to Colorado. I'll be gone 2 weeks. And if you are at the airport when I come back, then I will know that You choose me.
So in true Lifetime movies, and I don't even know if that was in existence back then, but Rich and I sometimes can be pretty dramatic, hence Front Porch Fridays.
Yes.
And so, so anyway, so while he was gone, I was just going through trying to figure out actually how I was feeling. And also, in true Rich style, he wants to really make sure that he just nails it. And so he sent me flowers from Colorado, and there was nothing on the card but "I love you."
Wow. That seems a little extreme at that moment.
If ask our therapist daughter if that's a little extreme. And so then I really did. I made the decision, and shocker, I was waiting
She
for
was
him
at the airport. So fast forward, her brother's about to graduate from Paris Island from his boot camp, and I got invited to go, and I was excited to go back and see Paris Island. So I go on the family trip to Paris Island. We stopped just outside Paris Island, South Carolina, in Charleston the night before the graduation. We get up early that next morning, just the two of us.
And we're sitting on a bench overlooking the river in Charleston. And we start talking about our future. We start talking about our children. We talk about wanting to spend the rest of our lives together. And it was just something that both of us knew was what we both wanted.
Yeah. Came home from that trip, and within a couple of days, or probably less than a week of that trip, which totaled, if you're looking at the timeline, about a month of knowing each other, I asked her to marry me.
But we were poor. So he said, "I really would like to ask you to marry me, but I don't have a ring to give you. So what we're going to do is go home to Mom and Dad's house, and I'm going to ask them if I can have my grand's ring to be able to propose to you."
Yep.
So we headed it to his parents' house, who lived in Richmond, outside of Richmond at the time. And we, the next morning, we woke up.
I go out, and I ask my parents to come out onto the deck. She's anxiously waiting in the living room, and I'm a nervous wreck, panicking. I smoked at that point. I probably smoked like 5 cigarettes in a row, and they're like, "What is wrong with you?" And because that was not my typical behavior, I told them I wanted to ask Amy to marry me, asked if I could have my grand's ring. They actually said yes. I take the ring. I go into the living room. Amy's just sitting on the couch, and I do the get on my knee, ask her to marry me. And what'd you say?
I said yes.
She said yes. And after that, looking back, we had said that God's hand was woven all through our story.
Absolutely.
Especially at the beginning. I was not living for God at the time. I certainly wasn't seeking any direction or guidance from him. So the fact that I had gotten to a point where after only 30 days that I was ready to ask somebody to marry me was not only uncharacteristic, but it was a clear sign that God dropped this person into my life and said, "Here she is. This is the one. Don't blow it."
And he almost blew it a couple times over the last 30 years, but we will go into that later. And so what we would like to do now is, again, we said that this was our anniversary month of 30 years of marriage. And so we would like to just kind of bring you some snapshots over the last 30 years, show you the good, the bad, the ugly, maybe offer you some just wisdom nuggets that hopefully you will find helpful and maybe not help you make some of the same mistakes that we made. And
Yep.
So we are definitely going to revisit the trailer. That might be one of the ugly parts. But we're also going to start next time with, how did my parents react after hearing that we were engaged after only 30 days? And looking back on that, now having grown adult children, what we might have done differently.
Yes.
So thank you so much for listening to our story, and we're really looking forward to continuing to connect with you.
And we'll see you next week on the porch.